If you've noticed recently, which you probably haven't because everyone is doing their own life, I have released a podcast, which is the Modern Honest Dating Podcast, which is now available on iTunes. But what that podcast taught me was that there is an element of me that people really want to engage with. And I realized this because when I released the podcast, so many people actually, they emailed me, they were really excited to listen to it. And I realized then that I have been missing that element in these videos, in these YouTube videos, or the Ask Harvey segments. So this is my little announcement to say that I'm shaking this up a bit. I'm going to be trying to put maybe like 150% more me, or as much me, and I'm going to say as presence, raw honesty about dating and relationships as I can in these videos. So that way, if you're not absolutely blown away by the end of these videos, I'm not doing my job right. So let's get into it. So this video is about how to be instantly more attractive. Now, I get this because a lot of people ask me questions like that. They ask me questions like, how do I get him to like me? Or how do I engage with him more that makes me seem more attractive? And honestly, if you're a guy out there as well, one of the biggest questions a lot of guys out there ask is, how do I talk to women? Or how do I be more attractive to women? And honestly, the reason, I work mostly with women, I actually say 90% with women, but you guys have to know, and I say this a lot, that the problems that we have, the problems that you guys have, the problems that everyone has are universal. Between men and women, there might be a few differences, because we have different body parts. And as a consequence, we have maybe different hormones. But at the end of the day, we're all people. We have people problems. We do whatever modern people do. We see modern people. But at the core of it, you have to know that there is strong similarities between what men have problems with and what women have problems with. And I want to tell you this. If you want to be instantly 10 times more attractive to the opposite sex, or just in general, what you need to do is practice raw, honest expression. And I've been talking about this a lot, especially been following me on Facebook and been watching a lot of my live videos and things like that, is that raw, honest expression is what I would describe as the solution to a lot of people's dating problems. Is because it is so fundamental that if I teach you anything at all and you only get one lesson, it should be this: that only through raw, honest expression can you actually find out where that other person is at. And some people are afraid, because some people get this idea in their head that, oh no, you can't say this, it's inappropriate. If it's inappropriate, you learn. And you learn a slightly better way how to do it, but only through that raw, honest expression. Because we watch things like TV, or we see other people and they get shut down because they've offended someone else. And I'm not saying become a dick, and I'm not saying go out there and offend as many people as you can through your honest expression. But what I find is a lot of people are genuinely afraid to say that they're attracted to someone, or they're genuinely afraid to tell someone actually how they're feeling. And when that's the case, their elements of who they are as a person is missing. And I believe that most people are actually coming from a good place. And if you genuinely express yourself, what you'll find is that when you come from a good place, there is an element of sweetness behind it, and people actually engage with that part of you more. But I talked about this in my podcast, the first episode, which you should need to download it, do it now, listen to it 20 times, watch this video 20 times, as many times as you can. But at the element of it, communication, and I described it in the podcast as it's like sonar. We emit a sound, and then the world emits back to us. Like it's like a bong that goes out, and then it reverberates back to us. But if we're not being who we are, if we're not sonaring out in the most genuine, most possible way, then what happens is we never learn. We never learn where the other person is at, and we never learn truly how to express ourselves in a way that the other person can receive. Now, obviously, step 2 then is to realize that it's not what you're saying, it's how you're saying it, but you can't get up to that stage if you aren't fully practicing raw expression. Now, the reason why raw expression is so attractive is because it's kind of like the hero's journey. Like, You know, we start out with raw expression, and then you learn all of these cool, fun little tricks of the trade and all this kind of stuff. But ultimately what happens is you come back to raw expression, and you learn that you can say things that other people might think are inappropriate, but is actually incredibly appropriate. So you might see someone, some guy in a bar or things like that, and you might strike up a conversation because there's something that you like about him, that you find out that he's attractive, or you think that he's attractive. But because you have that raw expression element practiced within you, you can say that. Now, some people find it hard because they're worried about what the other person might think. And this is a real issue. Because, you know, if you've been beaten by a stick enough, sooner or later you'll learn to fear sticks. But, I'm not saying that he's a stick, you know, he might be a dick, but he's... Anyway, so, with this though, when you look at it, if you're not expressing yourself, then you'll never learn how to get out of it. And if you make mistakes, and if you get potentially put down, or someone rejects you, that's not the scariest thing in the world, because really, in all honesty, people take dating relationships way too seriously. My job is to kind of tell you to take it a little bit less seriously, because when people take it too seriously, they get rejected. They say, it's me, they're rejecting me, what's wrong with me? But if you look at it at a very core level, like a lot of people actually aren't rejecting you. They may be rejecting the image that you're presenting. They may be rejecting what you're saying at the time. They may be in a bad mood and they might be rejecting everything. They might be just thinking about whatever coffee they're having in the morning, and you're like, hey, how's it going? Do you want to hang out? And they're like, I can't talk to you now, it's just I want coffee. And because people are in all these different states of mind, you will never understand the nuance of people if you don't express yourself in this genuine, honest, giving, loving way. And some would call it presence, but in reality, if you look at it, it is who you are at the core. So if you want to express something, you have to just do it at that core level, and later on you'll learn a bit or two about it. You might realize that cute guy in the bar, that you might be like, hey, I think you're cute. What you'll realize is that you're not necessarily attracted to him, you may be attracted to a part about him. And when you do this more and more, you'll learn to express this more and more. That might be like you go up to a guy and be like, hey, I think you're cute. But you might be like, hey, I actually like the way you stand. And when you say that and you express it in a genuine way, because you say, hey, I like the way you stand, it comes out as very authoritative. Hi, I'm so-and-so. What guy wouldn't like that? Because it's an extremely well thought out compliment. It's the same way if I was to come up to you and I say, hey, like, I really like your outfit today. You look like a really creative person. You know, there's an element of honesty, there's an element of who I am as a person and whatever I'm appreciating. But you can't get to that level if you don't practice this honesty of amazing expression. So thanks so much for watching. If you did like this video, make sure to leave a like, because if you like it, then I like you. And make sure to subscribe, because if you don't, Trump will get to Mars before Elon Musk. All right, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.